Would you say that some sounds, let's say some sonic brands are harder to define than others, or is just the process and you'll figure it out sooner or later? Are there ones that are more challenging than you'd say than others?
Um, I would say possibly yes. Rarely, because it's the same process and everything else. It's not necessarily, it's not necessarily that it's harder to define. Where it gets a little challenging is when you don't have agreement amongst the team.
Okay, I was thinking that. Yeah.
Then
yeah.
When they come back and like 10 different people like 10 different things, then something's not working. We're very, very fortunate on the one that we did yesterday. They are in complete alignment. Like 3, 6, and 7. That's us. That sounds so much like us, and across the board. And then we breathe a sigh of relief, because if we can get a consensus,
then you're off to the races, right?
We're off to the races.
Yeah. And so do you think? Sorry, I'm trying to get as deep as possible with you on this thing. Do you think that is a function of the personalities, or do you think that's a function of the brand itself not being well defined? Because independently of Sonic or not, there are some brands that are well defined, like you can feel the brand, and there are some that are just hazy. All right, it's not clear. People haven't done their a good job at defining the brand. So do you think that that kind of, when you have a situation, you have folks who are disagreeing, do you think it's mainly because the brand is not well defined and there's work needs to be done outside of the audio, the Sonic brand, like prior? Or do you think it's more like personalities having different tastes, and maybe some of them more stronger than others? What do you think?
I think I think all of it.
Yeah.
I think one thing that makes working with music, sound, voice, vibration a little more challenging, say, than a visual identity, is that it's so emotional. People have their personal tastes,
emotional,
and they have certain type of music they like, with certain type of sound that they like, and when they bring that in, they're naturally going to bring that into the equation. I remember one time we went up to Montreal and we were presenting, and it was like 32 below, and it was for a very big company. And we sat down. We had just gotten ready to start presenting, and the lead goes, "And by the way, I hate trumpets." Now, I know on our mood board we have like 4 different pieces that have trumpets in it. Okay. So he's taking his subjectivity and bringing it in. Now, let's say a trumpet was perfect for them.
Right.
What do? You always have to. So it all started with a brand, and the reason we started doing the sound mood board the way that we do it is everybody was all over the place with their personal opinions, and so we would put the words up on the board, and we put their own pictures that represented that characteristic, and we'd keep pointing to it. I don't care if you like that kind of music? Is it saying that characteristic, those words up there?
Yeah.
Is it saying that? Do you feel that? And that's how most of the tools that we've built got built.
You're right.
Because
Yeah.
we had to. We had
Yeah.
to reel in the difference between the objectivity and the subjectivity.
Right. Right. So do you like, before you go into a meeting, do you give them like, here's the methodology? Like, do you make them
No.
No. So tomorrow you could still go and somebody could say, I hate trumpets from the get-go, and then you have to go through the process of educating them from that point. Meaning, do you say, guys, before you say anything, here's what we're doing, here's what we do, here's the nature of what you do, and here's how you need to disconnect between who you are, as far as like, you like country music or whatever, and the brand. Those are two different things. Do you do that, or
No,
are you?
we do.
No.
We do presentation.
Yeah.
And I find the more mature I get, or experienced I get, or global I get over the years, I've had to learn to cut that down.
Cut what down?
The presentation.
The presentation.
The introduction. There's an introduction presentation.
Right. Okay.
So that they know what sonic branding is.
Right.
So within there, we subtly say, it's not about, rock, pop. I like pop. I like, we very subtly say this. Many years ago, I used to say, do a presentation, and I'd have like 20 slides. Okay. And we've done the Olympics for NBC, and we've done the Xbox 360, and here's some examples of that. And we've done Virgin Mobile USA, and here's some examples of that. And we've done IBM, and here's some examples of that. And a friend of mine who's a marketing guy said to me, Audrey, you got to cut it. Once you say, I've done the music supervision for NBC Olympics broadcast.
That's enough.
And the Xbox.
And that's it.
And you really don't have to.
Right. That's two or three of those, and they say, okay, she belongs to this league, and let's move on to the next thing. Right. That's great. No, that's the power of brands, right? It means a lot. They need to now pipe down and listen to the expert. Right. It's not the matter. It's not a negotiation at this point. Well, I mean, they need to get involved in all that, but it's not a matter of everybody's opinion is the same. There's a process, and it's a science as well as an art, right? In a way.
It is absolutely an art and a science.
Yeah.
There's the creative side, and then there's the scientific side.
Yeah.
And we have a tremendous amount of scientific expertise.
Yeah.
And knowing, even from when I was 3 years, I started piano when I was 4. And even at that age, sound would resonate with me.
Yeah.
It could make me cry. It could make me dance. It could make me feel things emotionally. I'd watch movies and tears. I'm talking about as a little kid. And I also, nobody had to tell me, go practice the piano. They had to tell me, can you stop practicing the piano? They actually bought a piano that had one of those mute pulls on it.
So you would practice without making a noise, or what?
No, just lower it.
Just lower it. That's great. That's nice. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more than a self-motivated kid, right? It's just that's
I've always been a self-motivated kid.
Yeah, you still
are. Too much so.
Yeah, that's great. So, as I said at the beginning, so you're the first person that I know who has won any awards, let alone multiple Emmy awards. Can you tell us about that? It's I mean, that must have been really. Are you used to it now? Like getting away?
Um, I must say, we've won a lot of awards, and we won the Communicator Award for the best music production for it. It was it's inside. I should go look at which company it was for. There was a Major League Soccer. I'm not sure. The great.
Oops. You broke up there.
And I don't.
Can
You know this. You've.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you say it again? Because you just as you were saying the most important part, you broke up. Let's try it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So for me, I don't want to say, like, I hate the expression, you've probably heard me say this. I hate the expression, the bucket list. But there's certain things, there's certain things that are very important for me personally.
Yeah.
And NBC Olympics broadcast is one of them. There are certain things I wanted to accomplish in my life. And when I was music supervisor for something of the magnitude of the Olympics for NBC, that was one of them.
Yeah.
That was beyond, like, it was incredibly personal. So
Yeah.
the Emmys are like, I tell my family, I'm like, you're burying them with me because you're not getting them. They're coming with me because they're so important, and so much work went in to get to that point.
Yeah.
The other one was when I was on 20,000 Hertz, which is my favorite podcast. And they usually only have top people on there.
Yeah.
So when they called me and asked me to be on this year, that was an item that was on my wish list or my goals. And I was so just incredibly happy about that. Yeah. So awards are awards, and it's nice to be recognized. The Emmys are support.
Okay, you're breaking up again. Okay, that's fine.
There's lots of different things.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, the thing about awards is, first of all, it's like validation that you're doing something not only good but great, right? Plus, there are tools that you can use to further your business, right? So that's another good thing about it, and also it's very fulfilling and so forth. So, congratulations on the awards. You more than deserve them, obviously.
Thank you.
From all the work, from all the leadership that you have, plus the quality of work and the brands. So you are also you teach, right? So you spread your great knowledge, and at the Fashion Institute of Technology, and then at the Pratt Institute. Is that right?
Well, what people don't understand, this is the part that is a little crazy. I think it's 9 or 10 years. 9 or 10 years ago, Pratt asked me, would I teach a course on sonic branding? Because the chair felt that the students were living in a visual world. And that they needed to be exposed to sound as well. So we're talking,
sorry to interrupt,
9 or 10 years ago.
Can you tell the audience what is the Pratt Institute?
Pratt Institute is a design school in New York City. It is world recognized, and they are, they'll do they do like animation. They do have an advertising program. It's visual design is what they do.
Yeah.
And they're extremely well recognized.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Illustration, they have different things like that. And she had asked me, so that's how long that was on the radar.
Yeah. And so they are getting into they're taking seriously the new dimension, the audio dimension.
Oh, absolutely. And I stay in touch with them. Right now I just do the master class. I don't do the full course at Pratt.
Yeah.
I do the master class, which is like a big lecture, but I get letters from students. I just miss that class so much. That class changed my life. Thank you so much, because I was able to have them come to my studio and show them different things and let them be hands-on. And I took them through the whole process to the point where my composers ended their project with a sound logo.
Oh,
whatever
nice.
whatever brand they picked.
Nice.
And some of them picked themselves.
Sure.
They were artists and they wanted to be branded. They went through the whole process. I also taught them things about musical terminology and things to be aware of in contracts.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't going to be the ones writing it. Like things that they would not know and that they should be aware of, even though they weren't going to be the one doing the writing. They would have an awareness when they were working with sound that sound sounded off. It didn't fit the brand. Or you're working with 4 different artists, or you're working, with 4 different people writing, and make sure you have those letters, MFN in there. Make sure MFN is in that agreement, because that's most favored nations. So I'm a student and you're going to pay me $500. And then you're also going to go to a well-known artist and you're going to pay them $10,000. If I have MFN, you got to pay me $10,000.
Yeah.
So it's very successful. From there, I moved on to School of Visual Arts Masters and Branding program, which is spectacular. It's spectacular. And in the fall, I do a master class, and in the spring, I mentor students.
Yeah.
One student, and not just on sonic branding, on life, on their resume, on preparing them to go out into the world. And those students have become, I could think of off the top of my head, 10 right now that are super successful.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic program.
Yeah. That's also a good feeling too, right? Seeing these kids.
They've hired me. That's a real good feeling,
isn't it? No, it is. It's very meaningful, right? And so the Pratt Institute. Rebecca Ivanhoe, right? I think she teaches there.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was there. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
To School of Visual Arts, but now this past year, we've been trying to do it for a long time, and FIT is Fashion Institute of Technology. And what a lot of people don't know is that it's not just Fashion Institute of Technology like it used to be, a fashion design school, but the name is so iconic
You got to keep
You
it.
know what I mean? That
Yeah.
they teach a lot of different
Sure,
things.
sure. Yeah.
And we did
It's oh, I like the FIT fit, right?
yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
and we did a lot over the summer and over the fall. We did certificate programs.
Yeah.
And what I found out, it would be like me and three other professors.
Yeah.
Three people that like we would do design for uh, inclusivity and sustainability.
Sure.
And so we would each have a different topic. Mine would be on sound, somebody else would be on fabric and textiles, and somebody else would be on something else. And I'd do 2 Saturdays, 4 hours each or whatever. And it was very successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're about to do something else in the fall,
Yeah.
bigger. But I loved the idea of certificate program, and I believe that that's the future.
No, I agree 100%. That's one thing that definitely, I think is underutilized or under. I mean, there's a lot of the flip side of that. I think there's so much waste in education, higher ed, so much stuff people take for no, just because it's an industry. 4 years in college, really, you need 4 years. Maybe it's a ritual where you grow and so on. But I think there's so much. Not as a replacement, but you're always learning, there is so much new stuff that's happening that if you don't have these certificate programs, right? I think if you have them, I think that it would be very helpful. So I absolutely agree with that for sure. So
Well, what I do, they don't teach at the university.
right. So who are these folks who attend? Are they undergrad? Somebody who goes out of high school and goes into no, instead of going to let's say a regular university, or is it folks who graduated from universities and are going into, say, Pratt or Fashion Institute of Technology? What's the profile of the students? There is one.
Oh, the profile of the students depends on, I find that, SVA is a branding program, a high-end master's program. They're getting their master's and they're getting it in branding. Now,
Right.
they are usually a little bit older, just a little bit, because they have they're getting their master's, and most of them are working.
Yeah.
Whereas FIT is very very eclectic.
Mm.
They're an interesting group, and like I said, extremely eclectic, outspoken, not afraid to speak up. And one girl said something that made the entire Saturdays so unbelievably worth it to me, because we talk about why they're taking it, and who's working and who's just interested and whatever. And she said to me, I can't afford to go to college.
Mm.
So I picked this because this has what I'm interested in.
It's smart. Yeah. Very smart. Right. You're not wasting money and you focus on, I mean, it's smart. If you know what you want to do, like if somebody knows that they want to do and they find this program, that's the best ever. Right. That's great. So let me ask you one last question. So the 2021, 2022 is coming up. You are sort of right there in the thick of it. You're seeing the rise of audio branding, sonic branding. Well, let me ask you this. Have you seen an uptick or a rise the last, say, 4 or 5 years? Do you see momentum? Are brands becoming more and more interested in taking their audio brand, their sonic brand seriously? Or are we not there yet? What are your thoughts in terms of just like a pattern?
My feeling is it's kind of a little mixed.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, instead of 6 sonic branding, audio branding companies that had methodologies or doing things like that, there's like 100, 200. But I find that, one, a lot of companies don't know what sonic branding is, and two, they're getting their information from companies that don't do the methodology, that don't do it like a craftsman. They do it more like a music production company. So they're when they're getting proposals, sometimes they're not comparing apples and apples because they don't know what it really is, and they're getting information that isn't exactly the way I would do it, or with the diligence that we would do it with. So that part concerns me, because the end result, and I hear it all the time, isn't what I would call sonic branding.
Yeah.
And yet people rave about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not sonic branding to me. And then you get some other ones that do it fantastic.
Yeah. No, I think the fact that there are lots of companies now trying
but
to get
they're interested.
right.
And
I mean,
we'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a good sign that folks are, people are launching companies to do this, right? It means that business is there. And they say that your best friend is your competition, because they are out there doing marketing for the thing, which is sonic branding, right? So maybe they'll get somebody interested, maybe they don't like them, they find you, and they sort of did all that legwork to get you that lead. So I think it's a good sign, right, that there's a lot of folks who are trying to do this.
I think it's terrific, and I think it's getting better.
Yeah.
I think it's getting better.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody wants sonic branding now.
Yeah. Right. And you guys are positioned to do the big brands, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking, like, if somebody is listening and another big brand, where would they go? They say, like, she's right, we need to start doing some of this. They would, what would they do? Would they engage with you? Like, let's say they're not an NBC or Olympics, so because I think that there's a long tail that's going to start forming, right? Which is a good sign as well, right?
We do the largest brands that you could possibly imagine in the world, and we do small brands.
You do, okay.
And we do some brands for free.
Okay. Well, then they should go to Audrey.
Who can't afford?
Who can afford?
And need it. We did Cycle for Survival because they raise money for what are called orphan cancers.
Yep.
Cancers that don't have enough people that have that illness.
Yeah. Yep.
And so they don't get the funding, and we did their whole sonic branding. And right now we were just at a conference when I did my speech, and I picked 2 companies to give them a sonic branding initiative.
Okay.
They all, were startups.
Yeah.
And we put their names in a bag, and they're getting not a full-blown sonic branding initiative. They're getting like a couple touch points, and they're going to get the research and the recommendations and 2 touch points.
No, that's
I like to give back.
Well, I mean, that's smart. First of all, karma is important for one thing. And secondly, these startups, there are startups looking, maybe they'll go somewhere someday, become something big, or the investors who are investing in them, they'll say, wait a minute, those guys did a great job. So I think it's, everything in business is business development, but some of it is like this karma thing. I'm a big believer in do good and you do well, you will do well.
I agree.
Audrey, telling you, I'm always impressed with you. Whether I read something that you write, or whether I listen to you talk, or whether I talk to you, I always become a better, more informed person as a result of it. So thank you. You are
same when I listen to you.
Oh, well, that's very generous. But tell you what, you are a legend. You have won lots of awards, and so I aspire to be somebody like you one day. Um, in terms of the excellence that you exude, clearly. And so, if you guys, anyone who's watching and listening, you know where to go if you want to do some solid sonic branding for your company. Here's a go-to person. Audrey, thank you so much for spending the hour with me. It's been a really fantastic.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday.
You too. Wonderful. Take care.